Hello, how's everyone doing today? Hopefully, you can hear me. So, I will kind of leave the chat open here to see if anybody can give us a response on that. I don't know. Maybe, 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 baby. Boop. Okay, well, I guess we're just gonna go for it today. Um, Obviously, I have a experiment here going on with my book light. It's one of those book lamps that I'm using instead of a ring light. After seeing this light up and how concentrated it is, I understand now the concept of a ring light. Using that negative space. Maybe that's enough of that for a minute. Let's start with the itty bitty cards here. See what shakes out. So happy Tuesday. We already had our monthly siren test happen. Okay, they work, by the way. So if you ever hear that and you're somewhere and you're like, what is that, right? It might just be some tests going off, right? It may not actually be an emergency. So anyway, all right, let's see what got Mr. Happy in the background here with his toy, with his squeaker. The dolphin. How apropos with the squeaky noises, right? Um, this dolphin has a happy look on its face here. Hello in the chat. Please let me know if you can hear me. Okay. So the dolphin you see has this smile, right? So when you're self-talking to yourself, right? Does it put a smile on your face? Okay. What messages are you telling yourself when you get up in the morning? Okay. Things of that nature. Okay. Are you letting yourself be a doll? Okay. Like if you had a little dolly, what would you tell it? Wake up, it's time to wake up, something of that nature. Somebody says that they need, I'm assuming they're referring to cash. So if you're trying to manifest, abundance through, working or, things of that nature, I hope it comes to you quickly, right? Fast, right? That's what, but sometimes fast money gives people problems, right? So be careful what you wish for and what you're trying to manifest, right? Okay. The panther, a nocturnal animal here by this by this photo, whereas the dolphin in the water alluding to it being a daytime creature, right? Because when you wake up, okay. All right, but maybe you do your hunting at night, like the panther, right? And you might have to take some cat naps during the day. Or maybe you're a shift worker, right? Not everybody's on a 9 to 5, right? So when somebody's like, oh, well, you slept till about, well, I was up all these other hours taking care of business. What were you doing? you know, like Johnny Cash when he has to tell off his dad in that movie. He's like, "Where were you? Where were you?" He's like, "Where were you? Like you were supposed to be our dad, dude. Like I was just a kid, you know, type shit, right?" So It's that kind of stuff where it's like, beware of things sneaking up, right? Because don't let something bite you on the butt that you should already known about, right? Um, so yeah, some people might be getting whiplash, I guess, a little bit, maybe when it comes to this. And they say like, "Oh, now I gotta be scared," and it's like, what are you scared of? You were just you were just shaking the, what is that called? The feline stuff. Um, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't think of it right now. I don't have kitties at home. I have dogs. So I cannot think of, it's like a catnip, shaking the catnip, right? Well, I'm assuming you can hear me since you're asking me to go through the comments. So, but I don't think there's any moderators on today. So. Anyway, ooh, yeah, octopus. Kind of like Goddess Kali. She's got her hands going everywhere sometimes, right? It's like you're swimming along, and yeah, this is like the multitasking in the kitchen, right? Might have something in the oven, and then you got something on the stove, and you're washing dishes in the meantime, la, 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 right? You're on like a turntable almost, or like a lazy Susan, kind of getting it done, like go from here to here to here. That's the octopus, right? But there's only one of you. Okay, I want you to remember that. All right, so although it might feel like you're doing this, you're not actually an octopus. You're a mere mortal. Okay. And you're a vertebrate, whereas the octopus is an invertebrate. So, another, therein lies the difference. Anyway, and this is reminding me of the giant squid from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Anybody ever see that? Like the one where Captain Nemo is played by, oh my gosh, who's that famous actor? Now I'm having like, I might think of it here in a moment. Is it James something? Anyway, very good film. Michael Douglas's father is also in it. Kirk Douglas. He was also an actor. If you're familiar with Michael Douglas, famous actor in the 80s and early 90s. His wife or ex-wife is still making movies. That Catherine Zeta, like I think I just saw her advertising some Addams Family thing or something. So she's still making movies out there. Anyway, Turtle. And just like a movie, there's a lot of, there's these people that want to be the actor and the director and the right, and the screenwriter, and at a certain point you're gonna, where you might have to start asking for help. Okay, and it might be something where you didn't realize you had to ask for help. Okay, so for some of you collective, you already might have, kind of a protection around you, in terms of knowing what to expect, how other people might react, blah, 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 blah. I mean, whatever. This is also reminding you to stay grounded. Okay, so the turtle is often by water, right? But it's also very close to the ground. So you're not going to get lost in the big ocean of, this octopus thing, right? Right, kind of like Captain Nemo did. Like he added, they landed on the seafloor, but at a certain point he kind of like lost touch with reality, right? That's they probably expand upon that in the novel. I've never read the novel. I've only seen the movie production. So if anyone is familiar with that, you might be resonating. Okay. There's also different kinds of turtles out there. So just because you're like, oh, it's like cute turtle, like don't be going up to it. You might lose a finger. I'm not joking. If it's the right kind of turtle, that will happen. And those things are like can be live to be like 80 years old or something crazy. So I mean, Talk about old and mean. You know what I mean? I mean, today I think it was the rainy that we're having, and I was kind of like, ugh, stiff joints. You know what I mean? But can you imagine walking around like a turtle for that long? I mean, that's right. No wonder they have that hard shell. All sorts of things, all sorts of things falling on them through their lifespan, right? But like a duck, you have to be like a duck. Let the water roll off your back. Okay. Um, Again, don't get trapped. So like also with the dolphin, maybe it's something about staying closer to the surface. Like maybe it's one of these things where it's like, oh, we gotta go and take this deep dive. Like, no, I don't. I mean, you can, but I'm not. I've already seen what's down there. I already know what's down there. I can already suspect what's down there based upon what I see on the surface. And so yeah. No, y'all know that song, Janet Jackson? Black cat, banana, bum, banana, okay. Living on the edge, not afraid to die. Okay. I think that was on her debut album. So, like, for pop music, like, that was, like, kind of a rock and roll song, really. I mean, I'll have to link that in the comments. That was such a good tune. Thank you, Janet Jackson, and whoever produced and was involved in the writing of that. Anyway, the Campbell. All right, so we just had a full moon, and this is kind of showing a moon vision as well. So focusing us to look up and see beyond maybe what might be hidden. Okay, this camel's big, it's hairy, right? But they store food in it, right? It's like, oh, did you know that? Oh, you know. Yeah. It's like everybody's looking for that, the winning lottery ticket, right? Okay. Pardon me while I take a sip here. Sorry, the light's a little. I gotta dim this a little bit, you guys. It's just a little. If it'll go down, I don't know. It's a little intense for me today. Anyway. I have the interior lights on. It's kind of a gloomy day outside, so it's like. Anyway. Ah! There go my cards. All right. The bat and the egg keep wanting to come out, so maybe somebody's eating eggs this morning. I almost did. Well, you know how it is when you go to the store and you get fresh eggs, and that's all you think, like, oh, I'm gonna make this and that, the next day, and then sometimes that don't happen. But that's what I like when I do buy eggs. I'll throw like 6 of them in sometimes in a pan to for hard boiled, and I'll just throw them in the refrigerator then, and I have them for all week, and I can throw them in a salad. I can eat one for breakfast. I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? It's an easy healthy snack that you've already kind of taken care of, and it's really not difficult. You don't even have to start with boiling water. You can, have the eggs in there first and then bring it up to boiling, and then you kind of put the lid on it, turn it off, and like let it simmer for 20 minutes, and it'll probably be done like 20 to 30 minutes. There's probably like an actual tested, like I think the Martha Stewart cookbook I have has it specifically. But it's kind of like, what does the camel know? What has the camel seen? If you can pass what is that, the eye of the camel? Pass a camel through the eye of a needle, something like that. Where it's kind of like, Everybody either has to go this way because they can do it, or you gotta sidestep and go around because maybe, you know, sure you might be able to invent another way, but for the time being, then you gotta go on your own path, right? All right. We have a spider web here, so that to me tells me beware of lies. Okay, what's that Gwen Stefani song? Walking in your spider web, right? Sorry, I'm not home right now. I'm walking in your spider web, so leave a message and not call me back. A likely story, so leave a message and I'll call you back. I screen my phone calls, no matter who calls. I screen my phone calls, no matter who calls. Ah, no wonder why she's saying ah by the end of that. Before caller ID and block calls, we had to answer the phone or wait by the phone, right? And before then, you've seen like the Downton Abbeys and stuff, and the stuff on PBS. They had the little messenger service, right? And like that's what we used to do as kids. Okay, when we were in grade school and stuff, we would pass when we would get in trouble for it. These days kids can have their cell phones and all sorts of other things, but I'm not going to comment on that because I'm not currently working in the school system, although I've had my substitute license before because I have the education, because I have the education behind me in my field. Anyway, dragonfly, here you go. I feel like getting on here and doing this though, it's like more people can benefit. You know what I mean? Anyway. Dragonfly, including myself, right? Instead of running around like little fire ants, right? Maybe it's just time to spread your wings and fly. Dragonfly is also a very popular signal from your ancestors, from passed over loved ones, things of that nature. So if you do happen to see a dragonfly and you're just like, where'd that come from? That is somebody watching out for you. That is absolutely what that is. I'm talking about like you're in the middle of some parking lot somewhere and you're like, where is that? Like, because there's no pond, but sometimes they will pop up just like that. It's happened to me multiple times. Okay, and I have experienced them, like especially the green darners, the big dragonflies that'll zoom right about in front of your head, right? So thank you for joining me today. If you're joining me, it's just kind of dreary where I am at today, so I thought I'll hop on and get a reading because I was out doing some errands, but yesterday was so much nicer to work outside. The sun came out a little bit. I cleaned the deck off a little bit. I collected all of the dog excrement in the backyard. You know what I mean? That didn't get picked up while we're on walks. All those things. So I started gathering up all my recycling to put out for this week. It was just one of those days where I was able to get a lot of that kind of stuff done. So, some people might call me a workaholic, but I just call it striking while the iron is hot, because I could have gone and instead of doing all that stuff, I could have gone somewhere and watched some football game or something, you know what I mean, and had a perfectly good time. But, I was able to get outside. It made me feel good, and I was productive. So I feel like, especially with this, cold and flu season going around, getting out and getting the fresh air is really, really important. Okay. So if you find yourself kind of stuck inside and it's like, and you're not meaning to be outside, but then it turns out nice, it's like, just take advantage of it. Go with it, and for a lot of that stuff, it's like, whatever you're worried about, you have to ask yourself, like, can it be put off till tomorrow? Right? The Scarlett O'Hara, right? I can't worry about that now. I'll have to worry about that tomorrow, right? Like, so kind of like when I made a car payment for my car. That I know I posted a picture on this on the community tab for you guys when I got that my new used car anyway. Because it was getting really hard. Like my other vehicle's paid off, but it was getting really hard for my dog to get in and out of the vehicle, and I'm like, um, I'm gonna have to do something here. So, part of that was really to make it easier for her to get in and out of, the car and go for rides and stuff. And like that's part of, her routine. So it's like I didn't want to take that away from her. You know what I mean? Just because I have this vehicle, it's more made for like off road and winter and farm and you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, anyway. Whereas the car is perfect for in town, gets great gas mileage and all that stuff. Yeah. And the dog, they love it. They love it. I even had the seat warmer on her today a little bit, not on high, just on low. I think she liked it. Yeah. All right, guys, these are Angels card deck. Okay, we have Archangel Sandolphin. You guys, look. I can't make this up. See, this is what I'm saying. Sometimes this is just how it comes out. Remember our first card here? And then what does that say? Sandolphin? I can't, Anyway, Earth Star, again, with the earth energy, music and answered prayers. Okay. This could be a good signal as well for somebody, especially if you're involved in a creative project, maybe musically. Maybe somebody doesn't think it's a very, logical thing to do. Even like profession wise or whatever. But this is saying that it is grounded. Okay. So if that's something you do, you're meant to do that and share it with other people of the earth. Okay. All right. So again, it says answered prayers. So for some of you, this could be like a big break. This could be, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it says Sandalphon. Dalphon. Archangel Sandalphon. So that one's new to me. And this the number 13. Who was saying that was their lucky number? Wasn't that Taylor Swift? I heard that on something today about that being her lucky number. Anyway. Alrighty. I think people are starting to get back to their routines. There's more activity outside now. Everybody's like curled in their abodes, Saint Dymphna. Okay. Mental health, well-being, and support. The Trinity here, 21. Okay, so if you are old enough to consume alcohol, do so, but do it in with regards to your mental health where you don't overdo it, right? Don't use it as a crutch or in place of, talking to like a counselor or even like a college counselor, right, at your school or a youth minister or something like that. You can talk to, your dad's minister too if you want, but usually a lot of these places have youth ministers and stuff like that, so people can, of that age more relate better. I'm not saying it always turns out that way. All right, so again, for your mental health, if something isn't working for you in the new year, don't be afraid to change it. Okay. So give yourself the support, okay, for your well-being. That might also be you taking some kind of break. Okay, so I'm kind of getting that with the octopus vibe here. Okay. Um, so it might be kind of like a mental health break. Okay. So that could be, it's something as simple as a vacation, you know, or a weekend away from your house. Um, maybe you go on a shopping trip. Maybe you, go to the ocean. Your favorite lakeside cabin, woodsy area, you know. But, not Friday the 13th, right, Taylor? Right, exactly. Taylor's like, that's not happening on my 13th. Mm-mm. Anyway, I don't know. She really talks like that. It's not like we're pals or anything. Anyway, but when artists put that stuff out there, you kind of do feel that way, right? So think about that as well, that your music might be offering somebody friendship, hope, um, things of that nature where they maybe didn't have before. Okay. And look at celebrity culture. Those folks get lonely too, right? So, part of the reason why we're all out there and sharing, and this is to, not bad, because some people be like, oh, celebrities, they just want to, tell us what to do and everything. It's like, well, you don't have to watch them. You don't have to watch their movies. You don't have to buy their music. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to watch the award shows. You don't have to do none of it. But what you can do is simply enjoy. You know, maybe it's just going and sitting in a movie theater again, away from your house. Okay, Hathor, celebration, rejuvenation, and gratitude. Okay, so a very grown up number, 33 here. All right. So for some of you, collective, you may have waited a long time to be treated as a grown up for some reason. And right now I feel like feeling very grateful for where you're at in life, and you're kind of celebrating that, and you're allowing yourself to be kind of renewed in the spirit. Okay, so something may have happened this New Year's where you've just felt kind of like, some people say no. Some people say no F's, no F's left to give, but, or is it S? Yeah. No F's left to give. Archangel Zadkiel. Okay, so we have two male kind of figures and two kind of female figures, all looking very different. Yes. Mercy, violet flame, and transmutation. Number 10. Hey, can you calm down a little bit over there? Huh? On the bottom, unconditional love. Okay. Reminding us that we're loved by God, by the Creator. Okay. And, some people probably be like, oh my gosh, it's already the, whatever, the 5th of January, right? Here. My little daily calendar I have. Well, that was for Monday. I missed Monday. What does Monday say here? Snow not only helps to insulate plants and seeds from winter's cold, but also adds moisture and nutrients such as nitrogen to the soil as it melts. Check your local forecast at almanac.com. Okay. And then today, which is the day of the Epiphany, the 6 de enero, okay, also known as Three Kings Day, right? Okay. The largest star currently visible to the naked eye, Betelgeuse, resides in the constellation Orion. How lovely. Okay. You know, I watched the newer one that came out, the Beetlejuice. It wasn't. It was all right. You know what I mean? I didn't hate it. You know, I'm one of those. Sometimes I don't like to watch the sequels and stuff because I'm like, I want to, But I thought it was a watchable movie in terms of sequels, um, and I liked like a lot the art direction and stuff and kind of what they had. For me that was kind of part of the cool factor is seeing that in live action, cosplayed out, right? All right. Now, and now, and now, and now, we're gonna do. Oh, no, I have not had any silly juice, but we did stop for an Arby's, and I got a sandwich. Or not, so hopefully it's on the Arby's. Make me crazy, great. You ever see that Cameron Diaz interview where she talks about how she went vegetarian or whatever, and then she has a little bit of meat and she goes, oh, and goes all crazy? That was on one of the late shows. I don't know if it was still it was probably Jay Leno at that time. I want to guess. That was on the Tonight Show. Anybody confirm that? Anyone else have that in their memory bank? I love when people jump in the chat. What's going on here? Are you asking me or are you asking the chatters? I never know. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't know if the comments in the chat are for other people in the chat or if they are for me. So anyway, we're going to get into these romance angels here. Again, because like I said, it is kind of a dreary day where I'm at. And I was just like, man, need something to pep it up. You know what I mean? A little pep in that step. And I know, it's like cold and flu going around also. So I was like, I didn't want to linger out there in terms of, testing my immunity. I'll say that much. Okay? All right. Now, y'all know that song, Linger by the Cranberries? Make the effort. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. Make the effort. I was going to re-share something that the Pope put out the other day. In what world did they think that the Pope was going to be digitally reshared on somebody's social media? But, back in the day, they were talking about this Jesus character running around, right? Hey, who gave that sermon up there on the mount? Which mount? I don't know. The mount. Right? It was probably the same sermon on multiple mounts. That's probably why they got it in the Bible. Because they probably heard it enough times. Right? I mean, I know there's probably some theologians and biblical scholars that would love to argue about that, which I am not one. So if you try to do that in the comments, I'm not gonna really be like trying to reply back in that way. But I might comment for discussion and continuation of discussion purposes as a learning exercise. Because not only with this channel do you have to use your own discernment, keep in mind overall it is kind of to provide some entertainment value and learning and just things of that nature, just sharing. You could call it spirituality as well. I share a lot of different stuff on this channel, so it's just, for me, it's just life. This is how I would talk to some of my coworkers. Like it don't bother me. It does not bother me. Anyway. All right, got disconnected again. All right. Anyway, I didn't even read it. Holy cow, separation, you guys. It's crazy. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. Okay, so you and your partner might be, this could be a work thing. Maybe you're taking separate vacations. I've been on vacation before where somebody was with their brother, their cousin, their sister, their BFF from way back when, whatever the case, and their partner did not come with them because their partner was either working, not interested, it was too expensive for both of them to do it at the same time, whatever the reason. Okay. So, yeah, kind of interesting. Forecasting this time apart. This could be also with this mental health, okay, as you're going forth, and doing the things you need to do, it may separate you from that person. So, for instance, you might not end up going to the same college. Okay. You're preparing for a life after college. So, if you and that person don't come together during that time, that's okay. Right? You might have some learning to do before you come back together. Some people would call that part of the twin flame journey. And I don't like to get on here and talk about that too much, but just because the cards we have had come out already and these are the romance angels, worth mentioning. Yeah. Stay optimistic. Give your relationship a chance, okay? This says work on your partnership. Okay, so yeah, some people could be like, oh, well, we're going to be separated, therefore we can't be together, or I can't be alone, la 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 la, you're leaving me, la 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 la, right? Well, if they're like that, maybe that is the person that you need to break up. But if you're somebody who can handle it, maybe you need to LDL, long distance LDR, LDL. I'm talking about cholesterol. Although my total cholesterol is only 177, so I am in really, really good health. They want you to have it less than 200, your total cholesterol. I mean, and I just told you guys that I ate Arby's earlier, and it was so sweet because I didn't even realize that they did treats for dogs. But when I got up to, or for pets anyway, when I got up to the window, she's like, "Oh, do your dogs want some treats?" I was like, "Yes, they would love that." And she made them some little treats. So I was like, "Oh, thank you." So anyway, giving your relationship a chance, right? Saying, "Hey, can I do this for you?" Right? Maybe that'll go somewhere, right? And next we have this could be the one. Okay, so here's the story, right? Because if you go ahead and separate, and just because it's a physical separation, you're like, no, then I'm not going to be with that person anymore. Blah blah blah, right? And you go off and you find somebody else. Okay, you might end up getting married to that person. You might end up having kids with them. Blah blah, and then you might still not might find yourself as happy as you thought. So just because you went and did that, right? I'm just saying, especially if it's any kind of relationship that you have invested a little time or effort, right? Really think about it. Maybe give it a week or two, of kind of going over, well, how temporary is this? Or, maybe it's for a reason. But here what it's saying is this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you seek. Okay. So again, just because you're going to be separated doesn't mean that you're going to be away forever. Okay. That's why they talk about people having a kingdom marriage. Okay. I don't really get into talking about that kind of stuff. I would rather, say it as soulmate, romantic partner, twin flame, things like that. Not false twin flame, not fake soulmate, not karmic, okay? Because we all know what some of that gets. What is that? What are you trying to say, Roxanne? Who? Colino down there? I've never even heard of what she's saying, so I'm a little confused by that comment. Anyway, free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. Okay? Not really sure what she's trying to say about that. Anyway, I am not moderating the chat today, by the way. So yeah, this freeing yourself. Okay, so again, maybe this is a situation again where you're going to a different school than so-and-so and somebody's upset about it. But, some of those upsets don't last forever. Right? And then you can come back together in a way that makes sense later on. Okay. I'm not talking about, 15 years down the road, but sometimes, yes, that does happen, doesn't it? All right. And sometimes maybe you both have been in relationships, or you both have had kids, or you both have da 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 da. Right? Things have happened. You've lived your lives. Right? What's that senior dating site? It's called like ourtime.com or something. Anyway. All right. I think that's all I have for you guys today, but this is saying to go forth and make the effort, right? Romantically, even though you might be in a bit of a separation, that doesn't mean that overall what you're doing is bad for your mental health. You might actually be doing the very correct thing for yourself, right? Because the thing is, if you don't move and go away to school and get that degree in such and such, and instead you just, oh, well, I'll just get a job and I'll go to school later. You might end up regretting that. It's not as easy sometimes when you're older to go back and do things that are meant for you to do when you're young. That's why they say it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Or for that matter, say, trying to get your boss to change their mind about something the company's done for 150 years, right? Because they might not want to be hearing it, right? It's not the way it's been done. Well, maybe you have new ideas. Again, you might need to be forging your own path. Again, you're going to be supported on that journey as long as you're taking care of yourself, right? Your mental health. Remembering there is support around you, even in nature here. The clover displaying the Trinity. Okay. 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 Drug one of his bones in over here. It stinks. It smells like a bone. It smells like a dog bone. You get from like the butcher. Anyway, yeah, calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. So, whatever you're visualizing, this person is visualizing as well. That's why, with the Four of Wands, it's a coming together because you're bringing two wands and they're bringing two wands, right? And then you're able to hang your little banner up and say, Yay, we did it! Yay! Right? Don't make it complicated where it doesn't have to be complicated. Okay. Um, so just so folks understand that, like Prince said, don't have to be rich, don't have to watch Dynasty, don't have to do this, don't have to do that. Right? They just showed his childhood home on the news, which I think somebody's in the process of like doing something with that. Um, And it's like a modest home, but a very nice modest home, I would say. You know what I mean? For like some people, they'd be like, that's big enough for me. Um, so free yourself of expectations and views that other people have of what you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to live, um, what products you're supposed to buy, right? Um, you know, And some people be like, New Year, new me. And then they're like, spending it on what? Is that an investment that's going to return? Again, think about what's important. Okay. So this might be one of those times as well where your ancestors kind of come through and say, hey, have you thought about doing this? Hey, have you thought about doing that? Hey, and you might be like, why am I getting bombarded with all these ideas? Well, it's because you're open and receptive. All right. So this also said there's a strong magnetic attraction here. Okay. So for whoever this is, yeah, definitely I think this, giving your relationship a chance. I mean, you're attracted to the person. Like sometimes, folks get together and then they never get married. They never progress. And it's like, oh, well, we're afraid of doing this. It's like, well, you're already living it. What's the difference? Anyway. So, yes. All right. That is all I have for you guys today. So again, we have this Archangel Sandalphon, Saint Dymphna, Hathor, and Archangel Zadkiel. All right. On the on this deck that I have here. Okay. So go check that out. Subscribe if you have not today and you would like to, okay, before leaving, okay? And if you do subscribe, you can hit the notification bell if you would like to be informed of when I go live or upload a video. I believe subscribing will also add me into your feed so that you can see the posts that I share as well. Okay. I think what she's saying is statins. You're talking about statins for cholesterol. I've never been on statins myself. Like I said, I've never been on any cholesterol medication. My total cholesterol is 177. And I eat fast food. I used to work with a lady that she would get a little irritated with me because she's like, this just proves it's in the genes, because she watched her diet very carefully and her cholesterol was too high according to her doctor. I can't remember the exact number she told me, but yeah, I just had mine checked within the last like 5 months, I believe, shortly before my colonoscopy. So, which I'm not 50 yet, but they are recommending it before the age of 50 these days as well. So, if mental health, okay, some people, their mental health gets affected because they don't take care of their bodies, right? Um, this can cause other things to happen. So your physical health being in line will help your mental health as well. So, if that's something that you haven't thought about in a while, okay. And also, I think open enrollment closes technically January 15th, so make sure you get that in and go book an appointment with your doctor to get checked out, whatever you need to get checked out, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty then. I think that's all I have for you guys today. So until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.